Hi everyone. Today, the workbook lesson of A Course in Miracles. If you follow the lesson from January 1st, today the lesson is God is the light in which I see. Last night I actually read this lesson before bed. I'm not really following the workbook lesson right now, but it just something prompted me to read the lesson before bed, and I did. And I read it through. I really want to share this experience that I had 10 years ago. I started my spiritual journey in a very serious way. I came to a Living Miracles monastery in Utah, and just started in devoting my life to this message and the teachings of A Course in Miracles. And one day in the monastery, I couldn't really calm down to meditate. And one day I just thought I really want to just sit quiet and be still. So I went to the a gathering room in the monastery. It was empty, so I went there and I sat at the back of the couch in the couch. And I thought I just want to be quiet today. And then I had this prompt to just allow whatever thoughts that want to pass by, but not get involved with it. The moment I noticed that I bought into it or get involved, then I just drop the thoughts and keep just sinking deep. That was just a prompt that I got. And from inside, and I sat there, I think only for like a couple of minutes. A thought came, and I saw that. I said, no, not this. Next thought came. I might went with it for a little bit, and then I said, not this. And the third came, maybe a judgment about I couldn't sit still or something, and I caught that and I said, not even this. And then boom, something happened. All of a sudden, the audio things, the humming sound in the environment became coming from within instead of from outside. And there is a stream of light that started from this side of seemingly upper right corner, and like beaming. It was super bright. Then everything got stripped away, like almost like peeling a painting, starting from the upper right corner and then got peeled. And the light was so strong. I was completely in the light. And at that point, I remembered that I wanted to cover my eyes because I couldn't handle how bright the light was. And I realized I didn't have a hand. It was completely just in memory that there was this body and there was this hand. And I also remember my eyes in memory, they were closed anyways. Like there's nothing to cover and there's nothing to be covered. And the light was the only thing there was. And so the whole world, sound-wise, it turned inside out, and visual-wise, it completely got stripped. Only thing left was the light. And I remembered the experience of it was fear for me. I was very scared. And I came back to the room, sit there, and I could, just, the light was gone. And why last night when I was reading the lesson that brought me back to that experience was because this very lesson was the instruction that's said in the lesson was exactly what I did in that meditation. The lesson basically said, the device or the equipment for seeing is not outside of you, and the light that you see is within. And Jesus says that today we're just going to do this exercise, and for the untrained mind, this is the most difficult exercise, but for the trained mind, this is the most natural way of being. And the whole exercise is just this: sit still, repeat the lesson with eyes open, and then close the eyes and repeat it a few times slowly, and just allow the mind to sink into the peace, to sink into the light. Any thoughts that come by, do not involve with it. Do not get engaged with the thought. Just drop the thoughts and let the mind continue to sink. And he even said that if you do it correctly, you will feel a deep relaxation, and you will notice that you will go toward, if not in the light. When I read it, I was thinking, oh my God, I couldn't believe he even says that if you do this exercise, you will notice yourself going toward or approaching, if not being in the light. I was so shocked in a way because I for some reason I thought this lesson was new. I didn't read it. I've done 3 or 4 rounds of the workbook lessons after that experience. That experience was about 10 years ago, and I never paid attention to this lesson for some reason. Not like I did last night. So I just want to share with you the profoundness of these workbook lessons, that every single workbook lesson, every single one of them, is taking the mind to a place that is completely beyond this world. Completely beyond. That was an experience of revelation, that is, the whole world disappeared into blazing light. There was no doubt. You don't have any doubt. That kind of experience, it was just so profound. And I guess right now what I want to share is that every single lesson in the workbook of A Course in Miracles is aiming at nothing less than a total escape from this world of pain and fear. That experience I had did not last because I had a lot of fear. It was very humbling for me. I actually never mentioned to anybody afterwards. First of all, in that experience, there was no one else. There is nothing to talk about. There was no, that's. Second of all, it was so humbling that I realized I had a lot of work to do. The reason I felt that way was because how much fear I experienced in the light. And I knew that with that kind of fear, if A Course in Miracles is aimed at total escape from fear, then I had a lot of work to do. Or Jesus, Holy Spirit had a lot of work to do on me, on my mind. And I had to be really, really humble and willing to let myself be taught, because I had tried to replicate that experience many, many, many times because I realized how simple it was. It blew my mind in that experience of how simple salvation was. The ego wants us. The ego's best strategy is to tell us how hard this journey is. It takes 20 years, it takes this, it takes that, it takes everything, and you are so far from what A Course in Miracles is pointing to. And what was mind-blowing for me in that experience was it was a couple of minutes. It was 3 thoughts I saw and I didn't engage. And I was brand new. I studied the Course by that time, maybe for a few years, but I was brand new in any real kind of mind training. So what I got out of it was I need to be so humble because of the amount of fear I saw and experienced in the light. And the second thing is, miracles and even revelations are not hard, and it's not what we imagined. But I also realized after attempting or trying many, many times to try to get back to the light and failed, I realized that any experience that doesn't last forever is also not what I pursue. It's not something I should focus on. I really wanted to focus on that, knowing how simple that was. I wanted to sit still and keep doing that. But I failed and I was disappointed over and over and over again. I talked with David, I remember at one point I said, how important is mystical experience? How important is this revelation experience? I never even told him that I had one, but I just sit with this frustration that I couldn't do it again. And he gave me the example of Helen Schuckman and Bill Thetford. Helen was someone who had a lot of mystical experiences and yet was still unhappy at the end of her life. Bill, on the other hand, didn't really have a lot of those transcendental experiences, and yet he just worked at the forgiveness that A Course in Miracles is pointing to, and he just went for it. He was very, very, very happy. He forgave everything, and he was overjoyed. And that was my experience. After I got that answer, and after seeing how impossible to try to direct a miracle or a mystical experience or revelatory experience, I realized, those kind of experiences is not within my control, and they shouldn't even be the goal, and they are so temporary anyways. Besides, knowing the fear that I had in mind, in some way I can understand why I cannot just be in the light, because the fear would stop it. That day there was a beautiful glimpse, and I was very humbled, and I was very focused from that point to grasp an experience that will last. And I can say right now, what I have found to be consistent is the experience I have after forgiveness. What we want is something consistent. We don't want to devote ourselves to something if it brings conflicting results. Sometimes there is joy, and sometimes there is fear. That is very confusing. And Jesus keeps, saying in the Course that this Course is not confusing, it's not in conflict of any kind. So I really know that anytime I forgive, the experience is always the kind of experience that I was seeking. It's joy, it's connectedness, it's total freedom, peace, love, feeling of a sense of containment, abundance. There is no problem, and it is so consistent. That becomes something I feel, if there is one thing that is still a goal, this is the goal in this world, and everything else can be let go of. So thank you for joining me today. I just really want to share the profoundness of A Course in Miracles, and every time we give our mind to the workbook lesson or anything that Jesus is pointing us to, it is just amazing. And one last thing that I really want to share is, if we wake up in the morning and realize, I'm not totally joyful, there are still things that bothers, and there's still triggers happening, and I don't know how to be happy. I think what is important is to hold on the goal, to get in touch with this feeling like I really want to be happy, and I know there are things that are bothering me right now, so I'm not, and this is the goal I want, and this is where I'm at. And then just say that, please teach me, Jesus. We want ourselves to be teachable. And what is more teachable and easy for Jesus and the Spirit than to say, here is where I'm at, I recognize it, and here is what I want to go, and teach me how to get there. And every time, what I notice is also that once I send that prayer out, I want to accept that the answer is already given. I don't want to keep asking, keep struggling. So I just want to spend a few minutes to really get in touch with the desire for happiness and want to be taught, want to be shown. And then from that place, I want to switch my mind into seeing that I trust the answer is given me, and I want to actively accept it, accept the answer. So I watch everything that comes to me during the rest of the time in the day. And I know if I don't fight anything, if I don't keep on holding on to attack thoughts about this, about that, then I'm at least not going the opposite direction of what I will be guided to. The most important thing is not to actively fight. So it becomes very simple, you know. I want to be taught. I'm holding on the goal of happiness, and I say, teach me. Then I started to just treat everything as the answer. You know, there is nothing confusing about our own feelings. We know how we feel. If my feelings started to open up and going toward the goal, then I know that my mind is relaxed, is accepting the answer. And if I continue on attacking and judging and questioning, the experience will be just continue like a stuckness and going bad. And based on my feeling, I know that I'm going against my goal. So for me, it actually is very simple. I just want to make sure I don't go against the goal. Ask and trust that the answer will come, and I want to go toward the goal and not against. That's what I learned to do. It feels more and more relaxing and easy. So I just feel like to share with you all about the simpleness of salvation and how profound this journey is. So profound, so worthy, because it truly is pointing us to a place that peace and light and happiness abide.